Hello, I'm Robert Kiyosaki, and I'm probably best known for this book here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It came out in 1996, and it was a New York Times bestseller for about 6 years. It was a very long-selling book. And I'm here today to talk to you about a friend of mine who I've met through the process. This is Mr. Darren Weeks. He's a Canadian guy. I love Canada because I've taken 3 companies public on the Toronto Stock Exchange, the TSE, and I just love the Canadian people because you guys have spirits and guts and you're good people. But today, Darren, I'm going to talk about Darren is doing a course called How to Raise Capital. And as you know, that is probably the #1 reason people cannot be entrepreneurs, is because they don't know how to raise capital. And there's an art and a science to raising capital. And again, the reason I was on the TSE, the Toronto Stock Exchange, is to raise capital. It wasn't for my good looks. It was to make money. And that's why for those of you in Canada, you have one of the best teachers around is Darren Weeks. Not only is he smart, but he walks the talk. When he raises capital, he raises capital. He's not just a stockbroker or a fund manager. He actually puts the deals together. He's a true entrepreneur. So in these tough economic times, I think the most important thing you could do is align yourself or hang out with people who walk the talk. And Darren is one of these people. So when you're learning from Darren how to be an entrepreneur, how to raise capital, that guy knows what he's talking about. And I think that's essential today in a tough economy and things like this. You cannot have a bunch of teachers who are BS artists, blue sky artists. You've really got to have people who know what they're talking about. And so for about 10 years now, I've known Darren as far as character. And you've got to have good character to raise capital. Otherwise you're Bernie Madoff and just Madoff with the money. Darren has outstanding. He is a stand-up, class act, great guy. You've got to have great character. You've got to have great integrity. You better walk the talk. It's not that you don't make mistakes and things like this, but he won't deceive you. If things go wrong, he'll tell you. And that's what you're going to ask for. If you want things to be perfect, then put your money in the stock market and vote for President Obama, and he'll make all your dreams come true. But that's not the real world. So anyway, I want to say, if you have an opportunity to learn from Darren Weeks, take it. Learn from him. He will show you the way to go. There's no guarantee you're going to make it, but at least you've selected a great individual, a great entrepreneur, and most importantly, a great teacher. Thank you.
Ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to become rich. At 6 years old, I vividly remember saying to myself, I want to be rich. And I didn't know anybody who was rich. Now, over the years, I did all kinds of crazy things as a kid, such as buying mutual funds and stocks when I was in junior high, buying actual silver bars in high school. And I bought my very first property back in 1990 when I was going to university. Now, my name is Darren Weeks, and since that very first property in 1990, I own over 5,000 properties today. But I don't want you to think that's a really impressive number. I really didn't know very much because I really didn't start studying money until about 10 years ago when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, written by Robert Kiyosaki. After I met Robert, I started to think to myself, if I want to buy more properties or grow my business, how do I do that? Because the banks aren't very helpful. So I started to learn from Robert and implement all the suggestions that I would learn at his events, and I started to raise capital. And I raised capital big ways. I raised over $500 million to buy properties, to build cruise ship terminals, to buy oil wells, and it's allowed me to become financially free, and I now teach this skill to others. In fact, Robert Kiyosaki just endorsed my book. This is called The Art of Raising Capital. It's a Rich Dad Advisor book, and the reason I wrote this was Robert said, Darren, the #1 skill every entrepreneur needs to know is how to raise capital, because the banks aren't your friends. They're not going to help you buy more than a couple properties. They're not going to finance your small business to make it a medium business or a big business. They're just not going to be your friends. So what I learned to do years ago is to raise other people's money. Again, the art of raising capital. It's definitely an art and a science, and I'm going to show you exactly what I've done over the last 20 some years to raise capital when I attend a 2-day event in November in Mexico for my good friends Anna and Francisco. I'm looking forward to attending the How to Raise Capital event in Mexico with my entire team. And again, for 2 full days, what we're going to do is show you exactly step by step by step how to raise capital. Now, I don't do this event very often. I've only done this event 3 times throughout the world, once in Canada, once in Mexico, and once just actually very recently in Sweden. So it's not something you can miss because I don't do it very often. And from what I've been told, you guys are getting a special deal. When I do these events in Canada, I charge $1,000 or more. So I hope you can make the event. I will definitely teach you how to raise capital so your business or your real estate ventures can grow. And I look forward to meeting a bunch of positive entrepreneurs. Thank you.